Thanks, Vishal. So good morning, everyone. So this morning we're going to be touching on some different maintenance procedures that you can do in your organization to have it running smoothly. First, we're going to talk about some system maintenance. And usually what happens, you would have customers or even if you're IT within your organization, you would have your users come up to you and tell you the issues that they may having on a daily basis. Now, some of these issues, users would have to be out of the system before you can proceed, and there are certain scripts that you can run to remove those stock users from the database before you run any maintenance procedures. So firstly, within SQL, the first activity that you're going to run is select from Dynamics activity. Now, activity holds all the users within the database that are currently logged in. So if we execute this against the Dynamics company, it's going to show all the users that are currently logged in within the system. Another procedure that we can do is from within GP. You go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, Tools, Utilities, System, and then User Activity. Within this window, you are able to see all the users that are currently logged in within the database. All right. You can also send a user message that you would like to perform some system maintenances and that you would want them off the system. And to do that, you can actually send a message before you actually take this company offline. So under Microsoft Dynamics GP, Tools, System, Setup System, and then take company offline. Here you can actually select a particular company that you would like to take offline. By inserting this company under offline companies, you can send a message stating that under this particular company, you no longer want users logged in. And we select OK. So if for any reason you decide to log in within that company, you would notice that that company is currently offline. However, if you need to make the company back online, only a system administrator can log within the company. Any other user would not be able to log in once they don't have system admin privileges. And to get that company back online, you get prompted that the company is currently offline. Do you want to continue to log within the company? We select yes. And just wait a while for this to close. And we go back to the same procedure, Microsoft Dynamics GP, Tools, Utilities, Company, take company offline. and you just remove them from the selected of offline companies. By doing that, your company is now back online. Now, the different issues that you may experience on a day-to-day basis could be for many reasons. You may have a stuck batch within the system. You may need to update your GP hotfix or service pack, or you may have a third party that you would need to update within the system. All of these issues, you would need users to be offline. Sometimes you may have missing or corrupted data within the database, or you may also have incorrect balances that you would need to have rectified. So with the stock batches, there are a number of ways that you can resolve this issue. So the first way I'm going to show you, you go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, Tools, Routines, and then Batch Recovery. Within this batch recovery window, if you have any stock batches, all batches would be listed within this area, and you can process those batches, which would make it available once again within GP. Now, sometimes that process doesn't work and you may have to take things a little further. So there are a couple of queries that can be run against the system. And the first query that we're going to look at, the first group of queries that we're going to look at is to view the contents of the following tables and to verify that all users are logged off of Dynamics GP. So that's what these group of queries are going to do for us. So by executing it, we're going to see all the processes that are logged in within this company. Now, if there are users that are currently on, the next set of query that you're going to run is to delete those users from the system. And by running these set of queries, it's going to remove all processes within the database. Now, once that is done, you are now able to update the batch that is in question that is providing the issue. So by updating the particular batch, where you see XXX, you're going to replace that X with the batch number or the name of the batch that you're trying to post. I'm seeing that we're getting a question. You can use the chat box to type your question. All right, so while that user is currently writing their question to me, we're going to continue. So this is your script that if it is you have a stock batch in the system. Now another issue that you may have arising out of GP would be the corrupted data. And with corrupted data, there's something that you call check links, which is a built-in functionality within Dynamics that allows you to run against the master tables within the database and correct any corrupted information. Now, it is important that when you run checklinks that you must back up your database, because what tends to happen, checklinks would insert or remove data that is currently um, not available within the header information. So if they can't find that info, they would remove that information from within the GP table. So it's always important to do a backup of your database, and it's also proper practice. Another way you could actually have a test environment where you can play around in, and that test environment will allow you to manipulate the data without actually affecting your live information. Right? So the reason why you may want to run checklinks is that you may have been experiencing some network fluctuations, some power outages. All these causes data to be corrupted. Right? So when the data is corrupted within the system, you must run checklinks, and they can be run on a monthly basis to make sure that your data is intact and it's actually providing you the updated information, and you don't have missing information within your tables. Now later in this webinar, I will actually show you how to create a test database. So in the event that you would like to have a test database created within your organization to play around in, to perform maintenance procedures, you can create a test database and restore your live company onto your test so you can have actual current data within your environment. In Microsoft Dynamics GP, checklinks is available for all modules. And as a reminder, if for some reason that you believe your issues is with your data, checklinks can be run to review the quality of the data and ensure that there isn't any orphan records in the database. Right? So to run a checklinks, you go to Microsoft Dynamics GP, maintenance, and then checklinks. All right, so that's Microsoft Dynamics GP, maintenance, and then checklinks. And here you can see that it's available for all modules. So it runs against the logical master tables for any corrupted data that you may believe are located in any one of these tables. You can select the particular table or tables in question and run a checklinks on it. So for example, for the account master, it's a matter of selecting the logical table, inserting it, and then selecting OK to run the checklinks against it. Once you've completed running the checklinks, however, at the end of the report, it's going to show a list of information whether you have received any errors within that database, or if it comes back clean, then it's going to print that no errors were found. Another system maintenance procedure would be the reconcile feature. When you run the reconcile tool against your database, this time it doesn't look for any orphan records like checklinks. What it does, it actually looks for incorrect balances. So it reviews those balances and totals to ensure that they are correct. The recommended order to run reconcile would be your SOP first, POP, then inventory. And if you have any project or field service modules, you can run those as well. Under Microsoft Dynamics GP, Tools, Utilities, you have Financial, you can reconcile, Sales, Purchasing, Inventory. Right? So say you have a power outage, like I mentioned earlier. In this case, instead of losing a master record, it can actually cause the calculations to be out of balance. So running a reconcile tool would go through all your detailed transactions and verify that the total matches the detail. So in reconcile, you can select a range. I'm getting a question. The disadvantage of running inventory reconcile, there's no disadvantage. What the reconcile does, it makes sure that your balances, if they're out of sync, it makes sure that your checks and balances are not running. Okay, if you don't run your reconcile, then you would not be able to fix your data. So your balances would be out of sync. So that's why the reconcile is to check your balances and your calculations and bring back the information that would have been missing so that your balances would add up. Right? So sometimes that happens. You're welcome. All right. So, for example, if you were missing customer records, you can run a checklinks to bring it back. However, if you were missing the detailed information that needs to recalculate your customer balances, then you would reconcile your database. So it all depends on what is going on with the data within your system. We'll let you know if you could run a checklinks or reconcile. All right? With both, you must back up, even though you may have a test company to play in, you can do that as well, but you must always back up your information. That way, if anything does happen to go wrong, you can always restore that database onto your existing live company or test environment. All right, and I would say it's always important to run a checklinks or a reconcile on a monthly basis to ensure that you have up-to-date data and it's pulling quality information within your system. Within SQL, we're going to perform a test backup. There are two types of backups that we can perform, automated and manual. So firstly, we're going to perform a test backup of a manual procedure. So you right click on the database you'd like to backup. You go to Task, Backup. You click Add to add the destination. And then you add your backup to the destination path. All right. So once you add that destination part, you select OK, and that backs up your test company. When you're backing up your database, you can back up using a full backup, or you can back up using a differential backup. With the full backups, it gives you all the information within your database, because it's basically the starting point of all future backups. So if you want to perform a differential backup, you would first perform a full backup, and then you can perform a differential backup, which would only back up the changes made from the last time you have backed up. Right? So I hope that makes sense. Now, some people prefer to always do full backups, which is understandable because you would have all your information there in a nutshell, but based on the organization that you are running, you may have to do differential backups to capture those changes on a real-time basis. So once you have done your backup, to do a restore, you right-click, Task, Restore, Database. You select Device, you select the Eclipse, and then you look for the backup that you want to restore against your database. If you have old information within that database already, you would overwrite it. And once you override that information, it's going to replace the new backup over your existing database. I would advise once you're doing a restore that you close all existing connections to the destination database. That way, you're not going to have any prompts where you don't have exclusive access to that particular database, because that tends to happen when you're restoring company against another database. Sometimes you don't have that exclusive access. So by selecting this option, it puts your database in a single user mode setting, and it allows for restoration of that database. So that was a manual backup. And now we have automated backups. For automated backups, it's done under management and maintenance plans. And under the maintenance plans, you could either do a manual maintenance plan, or you can use the wizard, which actually does the building for you. And it's a lot more user-friendly for any first-time users. So you would click next, you would give your maintenance plan a name. You have the option to do a separate schedule for each task, or you could do one schedule plan for your entire backup. So this is the option we're going to use, and we're going to set a schedule. The schedule, you can have daily, weekly, or monthly backups, and I'm going to do a daily backup, and I'm going to leave it to occur at midnight. Right? And I'm going to state it's going to have no end date. All right, so this would be my recurring backup. And you have a couple of options here. The great thing with this wizard, it gives you the information for each option that you may choose, whether it's to check integrity of the database while before you actually back up the database. That's always an option. That way you ensure that you are getting good information, your data is not corrupted, that when it backs up, it's actually usable at the end of the day. You can actually do an integrity check, and then it can run whether it's your full backup or your differential backup. All right, but we're just going to do a full backup. All right, I just want to make note, if it is I selected more than one option here, this window would actually let me state how I would like the task to execute. So for example, if I was to select check integrity of the database, I could actually state if I would like to back up the database first, then check the integrity, or check the integrity of the database before I back up. So in this order, it makes sense. All right, but I'm not going to check the integrity of the database. I'm just going to do a simple full backup. All right, and then you can actually select the databases that you would like to have backed up. So here you can choose 2, and you could also choose Dynamics. All right, you can set your backup set to expire. That way the backups will no longer be reusable after a particular amount of time, or you can manually remove the backups that you have stored within your location, because what tends to happen if you're doing daily backups, that tends to take up a lot of space. So after a while you would need to clear that information. You can compress the backup, or you can leave it as using the default server settings, which we are going to do. All right, this is the part that your backup file would be stored. You could change the part of the folder if you would like it to store somewhere else. Within this URL, you are able to view the logs, and the logs will tell you if you have any errors when backed up. Because sometimes you may not be aware if you have an automated backup being run. You may not be aware if the backup failed because you may not be checking it on a daily basis. However, if it is you would like to be emailed when the backup has failed, you can select email report, and then you can select the name of the person that you would like to have the email sent to. All right, currently I have no operators defined, so that would need to be created before you can do an email report. And you can send that off to the IT person so they can check to see what went wrong with that backup. So by clicking next, it lists what's going to be created. So it's going to create the maintenance plan test backup. It's going to create a full backup, and it's going to regenerate a report upon doing a backup. So let's click finish. All right, So you can view the report and you can see that everything was successful. Now, though we have created a nightly backup, if you would like to run your backup now, you select the backup and you just select execute. And that's going to back up your databases that you have selected. So while this is processing, another type of backup which is also important would be to back up your GP folder application. The reason for this, it's essential and it's, like I said, it's good practice. As I mentioned, the other system procedures, backups are always important because if anything goes wrong, you always have your information at hand that you can use to get back. So if for any reason anything has gone wrong with your GP application, you can restore your GP folder. So our backup was successful. Under our C drive, and in Program Files and Microsoft Dynamics, these are all the applications that are listed within our Dynamics GP. So by saving this, you are saving all your reports dictionaries, your form dictionaries, which holds your customizations. And you also are saving the parts to which your modules are installed and any third-party applications that would be installed as well. So it's a good idea to keep a backup of your GP folder. Right? And I would like to also mention, some persons take lightly to backing up their security settings. So say for instance, something went wrong with your SQL Server. So this environment that you have, you no longer have it. It crashed and you have backups, but there's only so much a backup could do. So you need to migrate to your new server and you need to recreate your databases. So what you would do, you would migrate to your new server with your SQL, and then you would restore the backups like I showed you. You would restore those backups onto your SQL Server database. However, by doing that, it's not going to recreate the security for your users. So you can imagine if you have 50 plus users or 100 plus users, some organizations have many users, and to recreate that security manually would be a very tedious task. So to save you guys the headache, there's a script that can be run called capture login script. And I would advise that that be run periodically. Anytime you make changes to your security, it would be advised to run that script, and that script would allow you to restore your user security if you do need to migrate that database. So I'm going to put the script up on the screen. And it's a two-part script. The first script is going to capture the information all right. So this is the script here, and the first script is going to capture the information. Let me copy that again. So once that information is captured, then we run a second script, and that script is going to spit out the user logins. Right, so it spits out the information, right? The user passwords and everything is coded. And this can be now taken and stored for whenever you would need to actually use this script to recreate the security for your users. Right? If any of you guys require this script, you can always reach out to us and we can provide that information for you. So we spoke about some of the system maintenance procedures that would require you to have your users logged out of the database to run these procedures. And we have also spoken about how you can have a test company in the event you don't want to manipulate your live information on your live database. You can restore it to a test and have that flexibility to play with the information without having the stress of worrying if you broke something. So we can create a test database to do that. I currently have a test database here, but I'm going to show you where you can create that test database. Let me log out. All right, so you first launch your GP utilities. And it's automatically defaults to create a company. And here you would click process. On this window, you would give the test company an ID and a company name. All right, you don't check the box for loading shipping methods or payments. Right, this info will come from your live database, the copy of your live database. Right, and you can copy access from this company if you choose. Once this is completed and you click next, it's going to build your database. Now I'm not going to do this to the end because that process takes a while to build all those tables within the database. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to X out of here so you have an idea of where you have to go to enter your information. Click next it builds it out for you, and then you would have a shell, right? Your shell would not have any info within it. You would not be able to log in within that company because, like I said, it's a shell with no data. However, if your shell is test and your live company is too, you can now take the test database and restore from device, and you could restore the two company that we backed up. And we can override the existing information in that test database. And once that's completed, there'll be one more step for you to take before you can actually restore. All right, so I'm getting exclusive access is not obtained. So earlier, as I mentioned, you have the option to close any existing connections to the destination database. Because sometimes when you do try to restore, you get that error where you don't have exclusive access and the restore fails. So now our restore is going through against our test database. All right, so here we can see that it's successfully backed up. All right, so once your restore is finished, there is a script that we have to run. And I'm going to bring up where that script can be obtained. What tends to happen when you restore another company over a database, it will contain references of that live company. So what the script does, it updates the data to correctly reflect the information of the test company. All right, so this here is a Microsoft article to perform what I just did. And then you have scripts which would check against the system tables and update the test this database to reflect test information and not conflict with your live company database. All right, so we run it against our test. And once that's completed, you can now log in within your test company with your live information. So by going in GP, we're going to bring up the test database, and we're going to log in. All right, so while that's doing that, the last step would just be to verify that the information from Fabricam is actually now populated in the test company. All right, and so we currently have information. So any questions? This is actually the end of the presentation. So I'll be taking questions now before we close. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions coming through, so I would like to thank you guys for joining me today. And you can reach out to operations@optimus.guru if you do require any of the scripts that I have used today in this presentation. I'd like to thank you guys for your time once again.